the OldPreMeds podcast, session number 174. You're a non-traditional student entering the medical field on your terms. You may have had some hiccups along the way, but now you're ready to change course and go back and serve others as a physician. This podcast is here to help answer your questions and help educate you on your non-traditional journey to becoming a physician. Welcome to the OldPreMeds podcast. My name is Dr. Ryan Gray, your host here every week, where I take questions directly from the forums, the non-traditional pre-med forum, your questions at premedforums.com. If you have a question, go to premedforums.com, register for an account if you don't already have one, and hopefully I'll answer it here on the podcast. We have an interesting question today, one that I haven't really seen before, but I will try my best to answer it. Our student says, "Hi everyone, I'm currently doing a do-it-yourself post-bacc through UCLA Extension and have completed the Chem and Bio series with good grades. I'm now on to physics. I am nervous it will decrease my current GPA of 3.85 and my small budget. I'm thinking of auditing the series instead of taking the courses for a grade, since I intend on only applying to schools that don't specifically require the prereqs. Auditing wouldn't show on my official transcript. From AMCAS, quote, audit refers to any course you attended without attempting to earn credit, either formally or informally, end quote. So I'm guessing I can report that I audited the course, but not sure how receptive schools are to auditing and if taking it for a letter grade is worth the risk of lowering my GPA. I want to learn the content to prep for the MCAT, but I would love to preserve my GPA and save money, $3,000+ if I don't officially take the series for a grade. I've considered trying to teach the necessary concepts to myself, but I've heard mixed reviews about this approach. Does anyone have experience in auditing a course, putting it on their application, or teaching physics to themselves? Thank you. All right, so interesting question. Basically boils down to, should I take the classes or should I audit them? If I audit them, how will that affect the application? Well, as the student says, auditing isn't on the transcript for her institution. Sometimes auditing is on a transcript. And according to the AMCAS applicant guide, the 2018 applicant guide, which I recommend everybody when they apply to medical school, read front to back the AAMC application guide, the AMCAS application guide, as well as the ADCOMs applicant guide if you're going to apply to DO schools as well. Read it cover to cover to see if there are any gotchas in there that may hurt your application. And according to the AMCAS applicant guide, auditing a course does not count for any sort of credit. Now, this student is saying that they're planning on applying to schools that don't have prereqs. It's not something that I typically recommend resting your laurels on, right? If you are going to say, I don't want to deal with any prereqs, I don't want to risk my GPA going down, I want to save some money, I'm only going to apply to schools that don't have prereqs. It's, in my mind, a risky proposition. You're betting on the fact that even though they don't have required courses, that they're not going to weigh those science courses any more heavily than other courses. Historically, doing well in science courses has been very, very important to medical school admissions committees. And that doesn't go away overnight. The idea of getting rid of prereqs isn't so that you can avoid taking sciences altogether, because you need those prereqs for the MCAT, right? They're not technically prereqs for the MCAT, but you need that foundation to take the MCAT. And so trying to limit your school list to schools that don't have preset prereqs or required prereqs, to me, is risky. It's limiting your options, number one, to where you're applying to medical school, which applying broadly is a very important thing. So you have to know that's limiting your options. And number two, you're hoping that there's, even though they say they don't have prereqs, that they're not going to look at those science courses and go, okay, this student is fine in sciences, that even though we don't have any prereqs, they did well in sciences, so it's okay. Right? They may look at your application and go, oh, they never took physics, they never did this. I don't know if they're going to be a solid enough student. But they don't have any prereqs. So you just have to, it's kind of risky in my mind. Can you self-teach yourself for the MCAT? You can. It's hard, but you can. You can do whatever you want, right? We have YouTube and iTunes University and whatever other all the MCAT books to buy. You can teach yourself. It may take a lot longer, but why? If you're going to audit a class, why waste the time going to the class? Just self-teach yourself. Because auditing, you can't put it on your application. I guess you can. It's not going to be on your transcript, though. So I don't know the point of putting it in your application. So this is a hard one for me because it's different. And I would double check. Maybe they'll put it on your application as an audit. Ask maybe if they can do that, and then you can put it on your application just to show it on there. But again, it still doesn't count for or against you. So if that's one way of doing it, I guess you can. But it's just a risk that you're going to have to take. So do it if you want, and if you're okay with the potential risks, the potential of schools looking at it, looking at your application, even though they don't have prereqs, and still being a little weary because you didn't take it. Be concerned potentially. Know the risks of limiting your school choices, and know that there's just risks involved versus just taking it. And sure, it may lower your GPA. You have a great GPA now. Keep doing it, right? Why assume that physics is going to decrease your current GPA? Right? That's like a student who starts off college with a 4.0 and goes, all right, I'm done. No more classes. I got my 4.0. I'm gonna say I'm a 4.0 student for the rest of my life. Right? You can't just run away and hide because you don't want your GPA to go down. So that is my advice for you for this question. Interesting question. Thank you for it. If you have a question you want answered here on the podcast, go to the non-traditional pre-med forum over at premedforums.com. Ask your question there. Hope you have a great week. We'll see you next time here on the Old Pre-Meds podcast.